Good afternoon. In breaking news, US police have made a major breakthrough in the suspected abduction of grandmother Nancy Guthrie, the mother of American TV host Savannah Guthrie. Officers say a man has been detained during a traffic stop south of Tucson. Live now to foreign editor Hugh Whitfield. Hugh, good afternoon. What do we know so far?
Well, and the man was picked up an hour south of Nancy Guthrie's home towards the Mexico border by sheriff's deputies who'd been trailing him for some time. And in the last hour, an FBI team has begun searching a location in Rio Rico, a nearby town to where he was picked up. The Pima County Sheriff's Department saying that man is now being questioned in connection to the Nancy Guthrie investigation. That, of course, is the Sheriff's Department that's been investigating this for some time. US media reports that the man is not believed to be a member of the Guthrie family. All of this just hours after the FBI chief Kash Patel said they'd made substantial progress in the investigation with a number of persons of interest following the release of this vision recovered from Nancy Guthrie's doorbell camera. It shows a person dressed in a balaclava and carrying a handgun trying to cover the camera with shrubbery. Savannah Guthrie, the Australian-born host of the NBC Today show, pleaded online that someone must recognise this person as she and her family desperately hoped Nancy will be found alive.
This tells me that it's highly premeditated and very poorly planned. Obviously, I mean, I think this is the first time he's ever done something like this. I think he probably read books, got information from people he knows, studied other cases, and figured out some things that he had to do.
Days since the 84-year-old grandmother disappeared, with apparent ransom notes being sent to US newsrooms asking for Bitcoin and bloodstains found on the property. At this stage, and there is no status on Nancy Guthrie herself, but it is very clear that this story has taken a dramatic turn this afternoon. We'll keep you updated, of course, in 7 News at 6.
Hugh Whitfield reporting. Thanks very much, Hugh. Now to news just in from Canada, where a school shooting in a remote town in British Columbia has left at least 10 people dead, including the attacker. 2 people were airlifted to hospital in a serious condition and dozens more have been left injured. Canadian police say the female suspect had been found with what's believed to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Another 2 people have been found dead in a local house, and police believe the incidents are linked. Anthony Albanese has met with Israel's President Isaac Herzog in Parliament House a short time ago. Let's go live to Josh Martin in Canberra. Hello, Josh. It's been a controversial visit so far.
Good afternoon. And yes, protesters have followed Isaac Herzog, as has a heavy police and security presence. But it was a warm handshake from the Prime Minister in his courtyard around 30-40 minutes ago. The pair making joint media statements to the media, discussing peace in the Middle East, getting our 2 countries' relations back on track, and of course, December's Bondi terrorist attack where 15 lives were lost.
Thank you for the comfort and solidarity that you provided last night, particularly to the families.
You know, when one Jew is hurt anywhere around the world, we in Israel ache and our heart misses a beat.
Earlier this afternoon, President Herzog and his wife went to Israel's embassy, where they planted 2 olive trees, saying plants are a symbol of life and reinvigoration. But a very different atmosphere around the corner at the front of Parliament House. Pro-Palestine demonstrators calling for President Herzog's arrest after a UN inquiry found Herzog made comments that could have been interpreted as incitement of genocide. Following the October 7 attack, Herzog said it's an entire nation out there that it is responsible. The President says his comments were taken out of context, and some protesters today also voiced some controversial chants.
From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! Arrest Herzog! Arrest Herzog! Arrest Herzog!
I think that him coming here, especially just as a guest of honour, is joke.
The president of Israel who was inciting genocide should be, locked up, have the key thrown away.
And we're here because we don't want war criminals welcome in our city, and we want to make clear what side Canberra is on, and that it's the right side of history.
It will go down in history that we have somebody like him on our grounds, on our sacred place here in Canberra, a place of democracy.
It's about time to make sure that the relationship will be warm up.
And the two governments may be coming closer together, but social cohesion remains rocky here in Australia.
Josh Martin joining us live from Canberra. Thank you, Josh. There are growing calls for Australian of the Year Grace Tame to be stripped of her title. She's been criticised for leading harmful chants at the anti-Israel protest in Sydney. Chief reporter Chris Reason has more.
Good afternoon. Well, there were comments made here on the steps of Town Hall that have led to calls for Grace Tame to not only be stripped of her Australian of the Year title, but now to face prosecution for hate speech.
31-year-old Tame addressed a crowd estimated at 5,000 on Monday evening, calling the visiting Israeli President Isaac Herzog a war criminal and inciter of genocide, and Israel a fascist state. But it was her use of the following words that enraged many.
Say it with me, from Gadigal to Gaza, globalise the Intifada.
She also used the phrase, from the river to the sea, words interpreted by many to mean the destruction of Israel. It sparked outrage from some.
People will on the premise of their religion, of their race, they will be murdered. And is that what you want, Grace Tame?
She should be prosecuted for inciting violence and hate towards our Jewish community.
I think it's extremely dangerous, and I think that's why these people should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Israeli groups also appalled, calling the comments and the anger with which they were delivered insightful to violence and completely inappropriate in the wake of the Bondi massacre. No recipient has ever been stripped of the Australian of the Year award. It's a decision that can only be made by the 10-member board of the National Australia Day Council. Tame has so far refused interviews, but in a statement accuses her critics of using the comments to deflect from the real story, the war in Gaza.
Technically, neither phrase is illegal here in New South Wales, but Queensland is set to become the first state to outlaw them both with penalties of up to 2 years in jail. Back to you.
Dramatic scenes have unfolded outside the Enmore Theatre when a restaurant went up in flames. A local leapt into action, racing to put out the blaze before it spread. Rex Quayle reports.
A Good Samaritan is very lucky to not have any injuries after having a close brush with a fire in Newtown last night. Around 7:40, flames took hold at a Japanese restaurant across from the Enmore Theatre, and a nearby resident took immediate action.
Oh my God, what the hell is he doing up there?
We smelled some smoke, but we didn't think anything of it because we get a lot of smoke from the restaurants across the road. But it smelled different, it smelled like very acrid.
No shoes and certainly not much assessment of risk. Paul Pickett grabbed a fire extinguisher from his car and did what he could. The toxic smoke now spewing out across Enmore Road.
I'm a plumber, so I'm on roofs all the time, so I wasn't scared until it started to pop and sort of things exploding. So there's a lot of people over there with their phones out, so yeah. I don't know, I really didn't take much notice until after the fires arrived.
We had 6 trucks attend this incident. Crews were very quickly on scene. They were able to make access into where the fire was and had the
fire and rescue got the situation under control in 6 minutes. There was no one inside the room at the time.
Call 000. We always admire people that attempt to put fires out, but please be mindful of the danger. When it's a significant fire like this, it's probably best left to the professionals.
The cause of the fire is still unknown, but there's nothing at this stage to suggest that it's suspicious.
There was a scare on the northern beaches this morning when a 1.2-metre shark was discovered inside the netted swimming area near Manly Wharf this morning. Startled swimmers spotted the shark just after 10 o'clock. It was later identified as a dusky whaler. No holes were found in the net and inspectors were left scratching their heads as to how it managed to get through. Council workers lifted up the net to allow the shark to swim back out into the ocean. Let's check our weather now. Paul Caddick joins us. Hi there, Paul. Very sunny day out there today.
Yes, indeed, Anne. And that heat is holding this afternoon. Temperatures still rising for some suburbs. Things started a bit foggy in the west. This was around Yagoona early this morning. But then staying dry through the day. Overhead, plenty of blue skies with just some wispy cloud passing through. In just the last half an hour or so, the city reaching 32 degrees, getting to 36 degrees so far in the west, but it feels a couple of degrees warmer than that. Above average temperatures for much of the state today, into the 40s at Griffith and Deniliquin, high 30s across much of the west. With a warm night ahead for Sydney, 23 degrees, as low as it's getting for many places, with a wet and gusty southerly change on the way tomorrow. And the latest Thursday forecast is coming up soon.
See you then, Paul.